Welcome to Real Authority. Today I'm talking about Evil Dead Burn, the sixth installment in the Evil Dead franchise. I'm a big fan of this franchise. Gonna tell you all the installments before Burn. They're perfect, in my opinion. Like, some of them may have much more, I don't know, strength than others, but overall, I just love this franchise. Like, the weakest installment, Army of Darkness, the only reason it's the weakest is because it tips its toe into full on camp. Only tips its toe because overall I can overlook that issue, and the legacy that Sam Raimi started with just a camera and a very low budget turned into this franchise, which sure he continued on through the 90s. But he took on a role as a producer in this franchise and allowed other aspiring filmmakers to be front and center in their own creative installments. So this franchise really does have a lot of juice left, and it's not really reliant on Raimi or Bruce Campbell, which, by the way, I wish nothing but the best for him. Like, I know he's pretty much saying that the cancer isn't exactly as concerning as some people make it out to be. He's still a legend, and I wish him good health. And it's quite very interesting how Ash basically is the franchise, and yet the franchise kind of moved past him, and the installments since Army of Darkness has still worked. Also, I know there's a TV show. I enjoyed season one. I unfortunately lost interest in season two. That doesn't change the fact that the movies are just damn awesome. Again, some are better than others, but with Burn, I was starting to worry that it would be less than stellar. So I'll tell you whether or not it disappointed me, or yeah, the Evil Dead franchise stay winning, baby! Woo! Family is the root of evil in this installment, as we see Alice, the ex-wife of this other family's deceased son, basically there for the funeral as well as staying in the house for a little bit of time. And then some demons from the Book of the Dead come a knocking, and you obviously know what's going to happen. By that I mean you know that it's going to be a gory, delicious delight. And I will say, starting off with the screenplay, I do feel, even though the Evil Dead franchise has always been known for camp, especially the Sam Raimi era of Evil Dead movies, like, I do feel with the most recent installments, they've been trying to dial it back. That's by no means saying that Evil Dead Burn doesn't have camp, because it absolutely does. And it does make me very happy. But this is the first Evil Dead installment that really does try to focus on the drama rather than the camp, and that was a risk that I do feel worked. Like, you're still having fun with it. Like, camp is not the only driving factor to why these Evil Dead movies are fun. I'm just saying it's the most defining element. And this one is kind of not as much camp as you would probably expect from this franchise. But with Sebastian Vanisek and Florent Bernard's screenplay, they really do craft a story that may not be, like, incredible or anything, but does get you invested in the characters, especially Alice. I'll get to her and her performance in a minute, but I really do feel the screenplay really just organically develops this scenario in a way in which kind of doesn't rely on the same cliches that the Evil Dead franchise has been relying on. No spoilers, but you obviously know this is kind of the catalyst to the entire franchise, all the installments. Basically, some idiot, because some people are stupid, are not aware that they are in a horror movie because it's a horror movie. They find the Book of the Dead. It says not to read it a lot of times, or at least in subtle ways enough that a dumb person would actually find it. They basically read the words, Demons Unleashed. It's their fault. They're stupid. They're probably gonna die. Woo! Let's get gory. Yeah. Man, this chair is just allowing me to go all the way back and all the way up. And despite its approach on focusing on the story, it still has time to implement the camp that you love, and definitely doesn't give up on the gore, because this franchise is known for being gore on crack. And here is no different. Plus, Vanisek directed the movie, and I know that he's had movies before, but this is really his first major film. And I do feel he carries the torch of Evil Dead directors pretty well. He might even be one of the more respectable ones because of his talented approach with the drama of the movie instead of, like, fully reliant on the camp. Like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. The other movies definitely dialed down on the camp a little bit. Not Sam Raimi, of course. But yeah, I just felt the drama just surprisingly worked. Like, I wasn't expecting it not to, but given the fact that the camp is not the center focus anymore, the drama really had to be strong in order for it to not be a problem, and here it just wasn't. Plus, the performances all around are very good. Like, no Evil Dead movie really has a bad performance. Like, maybe not the most iconic character, because again, Ash is Evil Dead forever. But the Evil Dead movies usually warrant a solid lead in all these movies, and I do feel all of them have a solid lead that's not Ash. And even when Ash is on screen, boy, you're gonna have cinema, because Evil Dead 2 is fantastic. Still my favorite installment, still the best character, but I do feel like Sohelia Yakub, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, have this scorecard. I spoiled the score by doing that, I don't know. But yeah, as Alice, she really commands the screen in terms of just providing the emotional anchor into this story. Like, again, it's much more emotional, much more focused on family drama a little bit, although it does get to getting into the Evil Dead stuff that you know and love. But yeah, I was surprisingly emotionally invested in her story, especially given the fact that they actually go deep into her character. Maybe not as deep as you would hope it would be. But then again, this is the Evil Dead franchise. But I do feel they're subtle enough in indicating more to her character to the point where you are invested, especially relating to her relationship with this family. Again, she married into this family, so it's kind of like it's her and the family trying to figure what the heck is going on, plus also the significance of her husband's death. Like, I don't really want to get too deep into it, but the movie pretty much gives you an indication of what's going on not long after the runtime starts. Speaking of which, the pacing's really good, like at an hour 50 minutes. It's one of the longer Evil Dead movies, and even though at the start it's kind of typical Evil Dead, you kind of seen it before. Like all the other Evil Dead movies, once this movie kicks into high gear, it stays, it lives, it thrives in high gear. And that's what I love from this Evil Dead franchise. It doesn't know when to stop, and when it stops, it has already done the most crazy stuff you've ever seen. When I mean dialed back on the camp, that was nothing to do with the gore. This is definitely a gory delight, and no Evil Dead movie has really shied away from that, because this franchise has never really had a PG-13 rating, nor do I expect it to. In fact, I might have saw that they were actually planning an NC-17 rating, which would have been a bold move. Philip Lozano cinematography is beautiful. Like, I do feel with these movies, they have inventive cinematography from whoever's at the helm. Like, Evil Dead Rise had very solid cinematography and very inventive. And I do feel like here, it's not only just his cinematography, but the editing alongside all of the other technical stuff just make this a very unique experience. And the Evil Dead movies are usually this unique. Double Danger score is expectedly eerie and fun when it needs to be. And I don't know, I guess it's really as simple as that. And there were a lot of moments in which, yeah, there were kind of jump scares, but the Evil Dead movies kind of know how to do jump scares better than some other franchises, so they do work. And I don't really know what else to say. These movies really do not have a lot to talk about, at least non-spoiler talk. But man, when you're watching it, it's just so damn hard to not have a good time. And everything else is just very strong to the point where this is one of the best horror movies of the year so far. But then again, it's Evil Dead. It's kind of a given that you are going to get some superb horror cinema, or at least camp cinema. This one opts more for the horror than the camp, but it's still an Evil Dead movie at the end of the day, and it just works. Kind of embarrassed that I doubted it even the littlest bit, because yeah, the real authority approves. 10 out of 10. And that's what I would give all the Evil Dead movies. No joke. Like, some are better than others, sure, but I love these movies equally. This is by far the most consistent horror movie franchise, because even before Scream 7 ruined the consistency train, I would have probably still mentioned Evil Dead. It's just very consistent, and if you're a fan of this franchise, you are absolutely not going to be disappointed. And I will be a fan for life. Can't wait to see Evil Dead Wrath. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and comment your thoughts on the movie, and let me know how you would rank the Evil Dead movies. Like, I haven't seen most of them for a while. I just basically rewatched Rise before Burn because the other movies weren't exactly on streaming when I was planning to do it. Would have watched Evil Dead 2 right away if that were the case, but definitely let me know what your favorite / least favorite installment is, and let me know if you agree that all the installments are pretty much perfect. I'd be curious. Alright, peace.